What were you able to take from your K-Day experiences, though? Well, it's two things. One, what did you take from K-Day that you were able to really implement and use to help you with everything you were doing with Rhyme Syndicate?
Tony G told me about 2 weeks ago that I was the one that brought Africa Bambaataa, Africa Islam, Charlie Chase, all the classical old school DJs to K-Day. I forgot totally about that till Tony said that. So when I heard that, I was really honored, as well as Prince Whipper Whip from the Fantastic Five. Those that don't know, those are the first generation hip hop cats out from the Bronx. So they're the founding fathers. So I feel really honored about that. And working with Ice also, when Ice brought Africa Islam and that division of the Bronx, the Zulu Nation, on board. So I was really excited because I used to listen to their music on cassette tapes, actually copying their styles here and there. As a youngster, I ain't even gonna front. So I was honored to meet the forefathers, Melly Mel and all. We became friends. I'm friends with, like, from the beginning till now, rappers, like a lot of them personally. So I like that. Feels good. I can make phone calls. I don't ask for a lot of favors, but if I wanted to, I can pull it out the basket. Some big situations.
Yes. Yeah. This I know, and I've seen it firsthand. But that being said, when you guys did the Rhyme Syndicate Coming Through album and you guys had the Bustin' Loose song as Spin Masters, you and Eva Lee, I'm going to jump a little bit, but then later when you did the Brothers album, it was just a Henji and Eva Lee. So why did you use Spin Masters for Rhyme Syndicate Coming Through? And then later, why did you not use it for the Brothers album?
It was a different thing, man. We hooked up with D.O.C, who now manages U2 and Madonna, and he signed Alanis Morissette, our boy Guy. So we were in the trenches with Guy. Guy introduced us to Steve Rifkin, and who Loud Records, Steve Rifkin, and Rifkin introduced us to someone that from New York, and to get a record deal out there. So we got that, and it was a different thing because we had a big budget and we really didn't have any control, and we were young. So they got big producers, and it was just not in association with the syndicate. And that I was kind of young. I should have got DJ Premier and what have you. They had somebody, Carlos Alomar, he did stuff with Billy Idol and what have you. I was all hyped up. They got Chic in there to sing, the one that sang Good Times, those that know the old classics. And they got what's his name? Omar Gooding Sr., Omar Gooding's father, the one that sings Everybody Plays a Fool, Smiling Faces. They got all those cats in the studio at Mantronic Studio. Those that don't know, figure it out, find out about history. So we were in his studio, so we were all gassed up and it sounded good in the studio. In the studio sounds different than outside when you compare it to other music out there like hip hop. It wasn't really as hip hop as it was. I got lost within that. It was a big budget, all big cats was involved. Then after that, I woke up and then Evil, I was always with the syndicate. We were always with the syndicate. So we just fully basically looked at that as something that we tested and then moved on. But when the time we were doing it, we were trying basically to focus on the radio. Like they were like Heavy D was hot, Father MC was hot. They were on the radio until Cypress Hill came out with Here Is Something You Can't Understand, all in New York and what have you, with Chuck D and Flavor Flav, Ice Cube. So that just changed hip hop within that time, and it just went back towards completely the hip hop of things, the root of hip hop. So we were always in there, so we just dashed out for a second, confused because of the money that was showered and the introductions that we were having. We were meeting the biggest cats in the music business, at the time. So after that, I think we woke up and went back to the real. With all due respect for Rifkin, Rifkin and D.O.C, those are people, So okay. That's what happened. We just changed. Now we're back, within the hip hop stuff. I'll never leave. I got confused. I was young, seeing the money. So.
Okay. Well, back to Rhyme Syndicate Coming Through. I'm from Maryland, grew up loving and listening to Go-Go, so I was pleasantly surprised. I remember hearing that you guys used the Chuck Brown to Bustin' Loose. Yeah. So do you remember, was that your idea, Eva Lee, Islam's? Yes. Like, no, how and why?
That was my idea, me and Eva. We was rocking that back in the days before we came to New York within the hip-hop community. You know what I'm saying? We was rocking Go-Go prior. So that was a banger where we came from, so we decided to use it, put it together, and rock it. I was just looking at the video the other day, actually, for you to be asking about that. Ice sent it to me. Somebody tagged him, and then he sent to me the video, the Bustin' Loose video, where there was a lot of people from Los Angeles that I invited to that video, and Ice as well, and even. We invited a lot of people, everybody from Soul Train, Divine Styler, Tony G, Def Jeff. Rosie Perez was in the cut. She couldn't even say much because she was doing She Gotta Have It movie with Spike Lee, so she had to be in the cut. So just a lot of people who was over there, a lot.
Yeah. And
how? A lot of Los Angeles.
And even that video, I remember you guys dressing differently than a lot of the other videos that were coming out from LA rappers in the 88 era. So what was in the industry when you would travel, I guess, like, did people look at you like, wait, they're from LA, but they're really from New York and they're doing this different stuff? Because a lot of people didn't, we didn't have all the video shows and the internet and all this stuff. Then you had like a video and maybe an interview or two on TV through Yo MTV Raps. Rap City
or the box.
Yeah. Or Yo MTV or Rap City wasn't even there yet. So what was that like for you traveling wise, given your kind of persona, your look and your style?
Well, you seen the early hip hoppers, they were doing the same thing. So we was from New York with a touch of LA. That's how you gotta look at how Evil and I was doing it. We were doing it like East Coast cats that's in the West. Even the style and the lyrical content we had, So that's what we were doing. We was MCs.
Right. So, and I always was interested too that Evil E was rapping on there. So he was early in the game to be doing that. Of course, Grandmaster D and others had done it before, but what made you guys want to feature Evil E rapping on Bustin' Loose?
So we can show the many talents that the two brothers have. That's what we were showing at. We can do both. When we're partying and Evil want to get his drink on, I got to go spin the records. So that's how we came up on that note. So I was DJing. He was cutting. He was the cutter, the scratcher, the more showman DJ. I'm the one that basically just kind of rocked the beat so the party can keep their groove on. I was like that on K-Day also. I let Tony and all of them deal with the cutting and scratching and all that. So I was just entertaining the situation. A little scratch here and there, a little switching on the turntables. We were actually the first ones to do that, like spin around on the turntables out here. But we got that from them back in the Bronx from Grandmaster Flash and all that. But we brought it out here when people seen us. Then you see, here comes Joe Cooley, here comes DJ Latin, DJ Ralph M. Just a bunch of dope DJs after us, our little homies.
Yeah.
Award winners, you could say.
Absolutely. I think one of the best, if not the best, DJ performances I've seen in person was Aladdin. So I always got to shout him out, man. Like I saw him in LA one time. Before I moved here officially, I was out here doing an assignment and I got to see him perform and I was just had never seen anything like it before or after. So
he's a monster, man.
Aladdin is phenomenal.
Did you see him at the event the other day?
No.
Yeah, he was there.
Oh man, I wish I would have known. I missed him. That's too bad. But with the Iceberg album and What You Want to Do, that's another song that you're on, another posse cut that Ice had with a lot of the Syndicate members. And the thing I was interested about from your perspective is at this point in 89, the business of rap was starting to really explode. And the songs, as you know, people were trying to start to get on radio and song format and doing verses, specific lengths and all this, as opposed to obviously, like you mentioned, the Prince Whipper Whip era, the Grandmaster Caz, they just rap. So with What You Want to Do you remember the idea or why it ended up being like almost 9 minutes long and you guys were all like, cool, let's do it that way?
I see. So like I say, Ice, he gave everybody a chance to double up, so everybody went around twice. And that's crazy. Just like you were saying, was a long song. We had a lot of fun, We see the video back and, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that's not around anymore, but the history, as I say, is no mystery. It was a lot of heads in there. Body Count members, Syndicate members, Ice the Old Crime Crew. It was a lot of people there. It was fun. Like the Wu-Tang, they got a record that goes on all day. Every crew got a little record that they just don't care about hitting it towards the radio, just showing their lyrical skills and having fun.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you did the Brothers album with Evil E, with Pendulum in particular, they were also a little bit later, but they had like the Lords Underground, they had Diggable Planets, and different things. But before that, with you guys, what things did you think that they did well to help get you out there? Because I thought the Little Trick video was good, and that got you guys good exposure and got to see things. So I was, in retrospect, how did they shape you or mold you the right way, the wrong way, in your opinion?
Ruben Rodriguez was a big promoter back in the days. He had a lot of money, so they were used to move Mariah Carey records and stuff like this, big records. So they didn't really know what to do with us, and we were the first one that he had on his label. So it was like a test run. And I had no patience. I really couldn't wait, even though you had to pre-plan to blow up. So I made a lot of phone calls and made a lot of that happen. I got on Soul Train and MTV and called some friends. I had no patience, but the music wasn't really compatible to the hot stuff that was on the radio at the time. But we did get a lot of exposure. So, and that was actually me making the calls. They were waiting, and I see why they wait today, but I was too young to understand when the record was done. Let's go. So,
well, what do you mean? What do you mean they were waiting and now you understand? Break it down.
They're waiting because you have to give it enough time to pitch for people to like it, to tease the record. We just wanted to go. We felt that it was ready already. And then we had other things to do because we was going on tour with Ice. So it was kind of a rush thing. We had a lot going on, so at the time. So it's just, artists that's looking at that right now, they know they don't want to wait for no record company. When they're ready to go, they're ready to go. But now I'm old enough to have the understanding that you got to set a record up in order for it to go. You got to introduce it properly. If you don't, it's just going to be just running and hitting walls. So I understand that now, but back in the days, I was ready to go when the record was like mastered and finished. So,
it doesn't really work that well.
Yeah, it doesn't. A lot of cats don't understand today, but that's what it is. Like today, I got a call that we got to take 6 weeks in order for Spotify and iTunes, what have you, to put it on their playlist for a record we're putting out. So got to wait 6 weeks to pre-plan the setup. Back in the days, we used to just hear all the DJs, remember? All the DJs you knew, and there was a few hot ones really on the radio, and you cool with them, your record get played, you get action and opportunity to go to that city to tour. If not, you just be staying local.
Yeah. Okay. And then with Lil Trig and also throughout the Brothers album, it's a big mix of a lot of stuff about rapping to girls, rapping in Spanish sometimes, street stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take each one. So the rapping in Spanish, and obviously you end the album off with the bilingual song as well. Mm-hmm. But given that there had been a little bit of success with Mellow Man Ace and Frost and stuff, and then you guys and Cypress Hill later, etc. But what do you think it didn't kick off bigger than it did the bilingual rapping earlier in the game?
We weren't in the style within that day, because it's that time. It's a certain style that cultures would accept, but it got to mix in with what they got popping at the time. So ours wasn't really a record that you could mix in with one of their classics or one of their hits. We were doing it on let's say, within our culture, hip hop, but introducing and it produced like a big R&B radio type record. So it's kind of confusing. It wasn't really something you mix in with the rapper back in the day, El General, or when Don Omar was hot. Somebody got to be hot prior for them to have an understanding and mix it in. It was just us just trying some new stuff. And they liked the Spanish side, looking at us, knowing that we don't look like we speak Spanish, but we spit in Spanish. That's why you heard a lot of the Spanish in there. I just wish we had a producer that did the beats so we could make the beats hotter, because the music was pretty cool. Dummy the music down, put the beats under it. It would have been one of those, super albums just before its time.
And I want you to listen real close to me. I'm going to ask you some real simple questions, and I want some real simple answers. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
You said that you couldn't have possibly been at the crime scene at 11:15 because you were in the bookstore buying my audio book and my hardcover book at 11:15 when the crime scene occurred in Soren's book.
The history of gangster rap.
So you couldn't have been at the crime scene because you were buying the books.
Right. At 11:15, I was at the bookstore at 11:15, and when I bought the books and accidentally left them at the store.
So at 11:15, you couldn't have been at the crime scene because you were buying books, right?
At 11:15, when I was leaving, it was some people coming in, and I forgot to grab.
But you don't remember who
what they look
people,
like.
what they look like or nothing, right?
No.
So, at 12:15, you were in the bookstore buying my audio book and hardcover book and Soren's book at 12:15. So you couldn't have been at the scene because you were buying the books, right?
Yeah, at 12, exactly, at 12:15 exactly, I was at the bookstore.
Now you see. You know you done fucked up.
Which you mean?
First you said you were at the bookstore at 11:15, and then you said it was 12:15. You know you done fucked up, man.
He fucked up.
Yeah, he fucked up. He fucked up.
Man, you confusing me, man.
So, you get my book, my audio book, 40 years in Soren's book, History of Gangster Rap, and if you don't, you know you done fucked up, right?
Man, the more those cops ask me questions, the more I wish I bought them motherfucking books.